Welkom terug. Soos genoem gesels ek met Nkosinathi Mahlangu en ons praat bietjie oor die rol van vroue in die landbousektor. Nkosinathi, welcome to Groot.
Thanks, Meer. Thanks for having me.
I hope it's the first of a lot of visits. Let's start first of all. Why is it important for women to be in agriculture, and what is the situation at the moment?
Thank you so much. As Momentum Metropolitan Foundation, we have seen that we have a role to play in making sure that we get women economically active. And when we looked at the unemployment stats, we've seen that women are the most vulnerable group.
And it's shocking stats.
It is shocking, and that also, prompted us to have a program in place that would address that need, so that we can bridge the gap in as far as economic activity and earning potential for women, so that we have women also playing an active role in the economy. So that's the reason why we have started to embark on this journey.
And why agriculture? I mean, why is the fit so perfect?
The agricultural fit is so perfect in such a way that, we all have a plate of something to eat every day, those fortunate enough to eat, by the way. And we tend to forget, where does the food come from? And agriculture is one of the sectors that kept, the economy going even through difficult times. And we wanted to go in this particular sector and also make sure that women have a prominent role to play, because they are already involved in the sector, but now we want to see women on the driver's seat in the agriculture sector now.
Why isn't it the situation at the moment, do you think?
It's the way the world has been shaped. Most sectors are still, predominantly male. And when you take a closer look into how society works, there's a lot of, women-run households, and women are also, in the forefront of making sure that there's food on the table, kids have something to eat. And when you go into the agriculture sector, you find that there are plenty female role players. But now we said, let's make sure that they also play right in the forefront on the driver's seat, so that they can also, be in charge of their destiny on this very lucrative sector.
It's a very important topic. Now, how important is it for the private sector to get involved in achieving something like this?
Thanks for that question. Thank you, Mia. Coming from the private sector, us as a corporate as well, it's all about partnerships. And we are all pieces of this huge economic puzzle. And it's very important for the private sector to play a role in the development space in such a way that once the government has made an enabling environment, the private sector, through various sectors, can also play a key role in making sure that some of the programs are funded, some of the expertise are also being shared in terms of mentoring and also guiding the youth into a particular direction where they could also thrive.
If we look at the program, you call it Women in Farming. Give me an explanation of, how you see and how you guys are going to approach the program.
Thanks for that. Women in Farming came at a point whereby we wanted to have this, to bridge the gender gap in our programs as the Momentum Metropolitan Foundation. And Women in Farming came in such a way that we wanted to make sure that women are also, taking charge of their own economic destiny. And this project helps us to also, bridge the gaps within the agriculture sector, and also making sure that there is economic activity that women are involved in, and mainly so that they can run their enterprises in a much more sustainable way. And this also speaks to, economic development in their communities, and also subsequently it speaks to job creation, which also tackles this high unemployment rate that the youth is found in.
And if we look at it practically, literally feet on the ground, how do you see the program working? I mean, how can people get involved if women say, here, use me, I'm available?
Oh, yeah. It's quite exciting for us, because this is our first attempt into an agricultural type of a program. And we are starting this journey with 60 young-owned female enterprises. And this 60, what we want to take them through is, this is a 3-year journey, by the way, where they will be capacitated in such a way that they will be trained into running their business in a much more professional way. They will be mentored throughout the journey by subject matter experts and also, relevant stakeholders within the agri-sector. And most importantly, we want to see them grow their enterprises, from a small vegetable patch or from a small poultry, initiative into something substantial that can be able to sustain their families, their communities in as far as job creation is concerned. But also, I think the big one here is to also make sure that there is access to market, which is something that we need to see them realizing.
I think one of the most wonderful things of our country is, everybody is good in having a good vegetable garden. We are pros with it. If there are things that the women in this program, they need, what are you focusing on? I mean, what are you teaching? What points should they know and should they do?
Yeah, it is a holistic approach, and it's thanks to the partnerships that we've formed with agri-enterprises, because agri-enterprises, they have been in the agri-space for the longest of time, and they are part of the Agri-SA umbrella. And through that, the holistic approach in this program looks at financial management as well. And because we are starting in a province such as KwaZulu-Natal, there is ample land that these young female farmers have access to. Some of the land is being donated by the local chiefs. And what we want to do is to see them utilizing that piece of land effectively, because we've seen that they have started feeding their own families through the small patch of land or garden that they have. And now we see the potential that through this program, there is scalability that we can see, and we can also try and see how communities are being developed through this wonderful initiative. So we want to see them grow from strength to strength and also competing in the bigger scheme of things where they can be drivers of their own destiny.
It's a really beautiful phrase, and I think everybody should be in a position where, if you want to work, you can work. And what a beautiful sector to work in, agriculture. If people want to get involved in these programs, I mean, let's first of all, we know what you want to achieve. Who would be the perfect candidate for something like this?
Yes, thanks for that question, Meer, because what we did when we went out there to seek this group of 60 female entrepreneurs, we were thinking, do they exist? And where do we find them? And this goes to show that, we can reach success if we work together. So agri-enterprises through their networks, and especially in the KZN region, we are also, working with Umgibe Training Institute, which is another, black female-owned farming institution that helped us in terms of going into communities, finding these successful young female entrepreneurs. But what we're looking for in terms of the minimum requirements, they should be in farming for a period not less than 2 years. They should also be already trading, have a clientele of sort, and also have a drive, to learn, because sometimes people start farming just because they want to feed the family. But these ones, they are also on a business mindset. All they need is that hand-holding, to go through the journey where they could also go to the next level. So we have found these female entrepreneurs. They have been in existence and running their enterprises for not less than 2 years. And they've survived COVID, coming to think of it. I mean, when everyone was folding during the pandemic,
they kept on growing.
They've managed to keep their head above the ground. And here they are today, part of this Momentum Metropolitan Women in Farming program.
When we look at, obviously the education part, because farming, well, the way I see it, farming is not the easiest. It's got a lot of challenges. In your point of view, how do you think women in farming will be able to take on the challenges? Do you think there's a difference between a farmer and a woman farmer?
Well, thanks for that question. I think there shouldn't be a difference. We should all see farmers as farmers. I mean, if you were to see a female doctor, she's still a doctor.
Absolutely.
So with female farmers, we also want to put away with the gender split, just to say, these are farmers, irrespective of gender. And with the challenges, obviously, we also make sure that they also do have that psychosocial support where their mental wellness is also key, so that they don't feel intimidated in this male-dominated space. They also believe in themselves. So we do have programs that focus on the soft skills, in terms of how the mindset should be. Because, I mean, agriculture has lots and lots of challenges, from floods to droughts, pest control. I mean, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot myself, going through these programs to say it's not all about rain and making sure that there's enough water. The type of soil that you're working with as well. And then for those who are farming in poultry, making sure that the chickens don't get sick, because they're very prone to viruses and they easily get, infected. So we also try to make sure that they, they have programs and plans to proactively deal with such, but we wouldn't want to just let them go out there without them being properly empowered and capacitated.
That's what I'm wondering now. Is it when it comes to the educational part and the mentoring? Is the focus going to be on theory, or is there a hardcore practical leg? Because one thing that a farmer knows is you get your hands in the soil. So how are you guys going to approach that part of the educational part?
Thank you for that. It wouldn't be a complete program if they didn't get their hands dirty. So there is a theoretical aspect of the program, but there is a predominantly, practical way where they go onto the actual fields, they go into working on the fields, just to get to study the soil, study the seedlings, and all that comes with becoming a fully fledged farmer. Coming to think of it, in the past week, they were actually out there in the field through the Umgibe training, and they worked on the soil, trying to develop the type of soil, and there's something about worm farming that was also introduced there. So they go through the full value chain, so that they also put into practice, what they've learned theoretically, but they will spend most of their time getting their hands dirty and being mentored by the relevant mentors across the value chain.
Do you think you guys are going to have a big success rate at the end of the 3 years? I mean, what does that projection look like?
We're hoping for a great success rate on this program, because hence we even screened the applicants properly. They went through an interview process so that we get their full commitment. And once they are committed, it makes the job half easier for us, because once there is buy-in, they will definitely go the distance with us. And we know life happens in between, and we are very much realistic in terms of our hopes for the outcomes of this program. But ultimately, we would like to see a success story, actually success stories coming out of this, because, I mean, the potential that they possess, I think it also encourages us to, keep going and play our part as corporates, and also as part of this partnership in making sure that all of them walk out with something and that will also leave them in a much more better state than where they were when they started the journey.
We've got around 1 minute left. Obviously, South Africa, we've got land. There's land available. And if we sit back and we look at the industry, the agriculture industry in our country, it is so important. So what would you say to motivate somebody watching the program or watching it on YouTube or social media? How would you motivate them to say, try this out?
Yeah. I mean, the story of South Africa. South Africa is a country full of hope. We're full of potential.
Absolutely.
It's all about, joining forces, working together. Then we will realize that success. And as you've touched on the availability of ample land, it's what we do with the land, And I think this is why we also encourage to work closer with, government departments, the Department of, Agriculture and other relevant government stakeholders, to make sure that the environment is conducive enough for every young potential farmer, male or female, to flourish, And I think with that being done right, and then we won't have to worry about food security, because that's one of the sustainability development goals in terms of zero hunger, food security. So this is bigger than just, getting access to a piece of land. It's what we do with it.
Sorry, that's why I'm going to stop you. And I think it's going to be so successful. Thank you for coming in. All the success.
It's an absolute pleasure, Meer. Thank you so much.
Dankie dat jy ingeskakel was. Ons is by die einde van ons program. Bly net daar waar jy is vir die groot ontbyt volgende. Totsiens.